Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Hawkesbury working dog demonstration. My name is Anthony. My partner out there, Jenny. We own and operate the Hawkesbury working Kelpie stud. We're situated at Young in the southwest slopes, where we breed the Australian Kelpie, we train them, and we sell them off to rural properties all over Australia and all over the world, where these dogs continue their life working livestock, which is what they're born and bred to do. Now we're also proudly sponsored by Enduro. Enduro make dog food, a variety of dog food, ranging from the Enduro Complete, which is for your everyday pet dog, the Full Bore, which is for your hunting dogs, your Enduro Puppy, obviously for puppies, and then we have the Enduro Plus, which is a working dog kibble, which is obviously what we use for our dogs. The Enduro Plus is formulated with the right carbohydrates and protein levels for these hard-working, high-energy athletes. That's what these dogs are, is athletes. When you watch the way these dogs maneuver themselves, how they handle their stock, the way they move about on the stock, read their stock, the amount of ground that they cover each day, travelling through hills and trees and a lot of areas that we can't get vehicles or bikes through. These dogs are exceptional at what they do in working livestock. And when we talk about livestock, we're talking about sheep and cattle mainly, but any other animal that these dogs are capable of working. Also, at the end of this demonstration, I've actually got a bag of Enduro Complete, a 9 kilo bag of dog food that I'm going to give away if somebody can answer a question right. So at the end of this demonstration, I will be asking that question and hopefully we'll get a lucky winner. Okay, so here to start off with, I have a dog. Her name is Dee. Dee is a 6-year-old black and tan Kelpie. The Australian Kelpie comes in a variety of colours. They also come in red and tan, fawn and tan, blue and tan, also a straight red, a straight black, a straight fawn, a straight blue, and a colour that's very rarely seen, which is a cream Kelpie. Now, a cream Kelpie is often mistaken for a dingo, and that is because the Australian Kelpie was made up from a working collie and a dingo. So they do have dingo influence in their blood. That is where I believe these dogs get their intelligence from, because they are very, very smart dogs. And also where they get their stamina from. They are very, very energetic dogs. A dog like Dee here can cover about 100 kilometres a day in and day out. No trouble whatsoever. Therefore, anybody that has a Kelpie in suburbia and thinks, I'll take my dog for a 10-kilometre run, I'll wear the dog down, I'll be right for the day, you're only kidding yourself. All you're doing is making your dog nice and fit. So remember, 100 kilometres is nothing to these dogs. Every day of the week. So, when we talk about working dogs or training working dogs, you actually cannot train a working dog to work. The training involves teaching the dog to work to us, educating the dog some directions and basic commands. The actual work that the dog does is all naturally bred in the dog. Now, when I say that, we put out a young pup on the stock, give it access to a few sheep, and that transformation happens when the dog is ready. We cannot make it happen. Now, we start our pups or give access to the sheep from a very young age of 6 weeks. So very, very tiny little puppies. And believe it or not, a lot of pups will actually start working at 6 weeks. And some start later. It's all up to the dog. Now, if you're lucky enough today, we're going to work Dee here, and then we'll bring out a 5-month-old pup and demonstrating where she's up to with her training, and then also explain a little bit about how we actually train that dog and teach that dog to work to us. And then, before we conclude the show, we're going to try and bring out one of the little puppies that's only 8 weeks old. One of them little pups that's in that pen. And if we're lucky enough, we might see that transformation today. We might see it, we might not. But if we do see it, it is an amazing sight to see a little puppy at such a young age, at such a small size, that can actually start to work sheep. So that'll be towards the end of the demonstration. Now here we have, as I said, Dee, who is a fully trained Australian Kelpie. The natural instinct of the Kelpie is they are a gathering dog. And what we mean by that is, they're a dog that we send around the stock, they gather their stock together and draw them towards the handler. That is what they naturally do. They draw the stock and take them somewhere. When a puppy first starts to work, it doesn't acknowledge the handler. What it does is it'll work the sheep. It might go round and round in a circle. It might run the sheep up and down the arena. It might chase the sheep into a corner and hold the sheep at the corner and do that all day. So that's where the education comes in. We need to teach that dog that we are the reference point. We are where you're taking the sheep or the cattle. And as I said, when we bring out the 5-month-old pup, I'll give you a rundown on how we actually educate the dog to do that. But to start off with, I'll ask Dee to get around these sheep. Left. So I've asked Dee to go around 10 sheep. Now in my day-to-day work, contract mustering, working in sale yards and all other livestock work, this dog could be working up to mobs of up to about 2,000 sheep at one time. So this 10 sheep is just a little play for this dog today. Now you'll notice, as I move around, the dog will counterbalance. That's what's called balance in a dog. No matter where I position myself, the dog will always end up at the other side of the sheep and bringing the sheep to me. I'm not telling her to do this. All I'm doing is repositioning my body. If I actually move around in a circle here, you'll see the dog will keep going around the circle. If I come back this way, the dog will change direction, and again, which makes it very, very hard to catch a young puppy. And hopefully we're not going to see that today. Now, there's two most important things to teach a dog at a very young age, and that is a stop and a recall. We need brakes, and we need to be able to call that dog off. Very important. Dee, sit. Okay, so we've asked Dee to sit down, which is overruling her natural instinct, and no matter where I go now, that dog is not going to go and balance to me. She knows she's to position herself there and stop there. So that is where the training is very, very crucial. The next thing is a recall. Now the recall is used obviously at the end of our training session. If we basically, we've moved stock from one paddock to another, we don't want the dog to go and bring the sheep back in to the paddock where we were. We want to call that dog off. That'll do, Dee. And what that means is, come to me, leave the stock alone, we're either done or we're just done with that job. So you can see the training is very, very important because these dogs are so driven. She doesn't want to come to me there. She doesn't want to just sit here and look at the sheep. She wants to work. As you can see, as soon as I give her that word, she's on the job. Okay, now, can I just get everyone to move back off the fence a little bit, please? Thank you. Just move off the fence, thank you. Now, what I'm going to do here is ask Dee to get around the sheep again, and she'll bring the sheep and we'll try and put them into this pen. Now, what you're going to see Dee do here is basically the same thing as what she's been doing. She's going to use eye, and she's going to use her presence, which is inner strength, to be able to manoeuvre the stock about, read her stock, make sure none of them are going to try and break away, and bring the stock up and put them in the pen. I'm going to talk to the dog a bit more because I'm going to be at the end of the gate here, and obviously as the sheep move into the pen, the dog's natural instinct would be, I've got to get around and bring them back out. So I'm going to give the dog some directions. Now before I do that, The next thing that we got to teach our dogs, which is very, very important, is directions. To be able to steer the dog to maneuver the stock where we want them to go. So basically, if we're moving stock and there's a creek, if there's a fence that's broken, if there's an open gate, we want to be able to maneuver the dog in that certain direction and keep the stock away from there. So the next part that we do train this dog is sides. Come right. Here left. Left. Here right. Left. Right. Left. Come right. Sit. Okay, I hope all you boys and girls are that well trained. Somehow I don't think so. Okay, so as I said, how crucial that is just to be able to steer that dog. That instantaneous movement from that dog could be the difference between the stock getting away or having total control of the stock. The next thing we teach our dogs, just for a little bit more pressure on the stock, we teach them to bark. Do speak, speak, you speak, 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 sit. Okay, so that's our horn. We obviously need a horn on a car. We need our steering, we need our brakes, so that we can maneuver these dogs around. It's very, very crucial to the way we work our dogs. These dogs are very, very intelligent. They'll learn these sorts of things very, very quickly. You only have to show these dogs how to do things once or twice, and they'll pick up, and they will actually anticipate and try and get ahead of you. So it's important that we don't let that happen, because the dog has to be working for us, not for itself. Okay, so we'll ask Dee to bring the sheep into the pen. Come right. Steady. As you see, she's just crept up to the sheep slowly there. She didn't upset the stock in any way. Now she's using what we call eye and presence. So eye is just eyeing down at the sheep, asking the stock to move with her inner strength. Please move off me and move to where I want you to go. Now also you're going to notice, as we get it to this position here, the sheep are going to start to try and challenge the dog. Steady. Now she's going to have to apply a little bit more pressure here. You do. And she's weaving from side to side because she's watching all these sheep. She might work a sheep over there and this sheep decides to make a break. You see how smart these dogs are? She knows what to do. There you go. That sheep tried to make a move there, make a runner, and Dee was there to take control. Here, Dee. Here, here, Dee. Here, Dee. Here. 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 Here left, here, Dee. Here, Dee. Here, Dee. Here, Dee. Here. Here left, here. Here, Dee. Here, Dee. Here left. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Well done. Here, Dee. That'll do. Okay. Good girl. Well done. Okay, so we've got our sheep in the pen. Next question we get asked is, do these dogs ever make contact with their stock? And the answer is yes, they do. When we say they make contact, they might simply give the sheep a nip on the nose or the leg. They do not do it to maul the stock in any way. All that simply is like me walking up to somebody and giving them a little push. And the only time the dog will do that is if the sheep really challenge that dog and that dog's presence is not quite enough. The next resort is for that dog to give the sheep a little push. And how the dog does that is by giving him a little nip. And normally, when we get that little nip and let go, the stock then respect the dog. So it's very, very important. If the dog does not do that, the stock will come out and run straight over the top of the dog. And if they beat that dog once, they'll keep trying to challenge that dog more and more. And we're not going to be able to get the sheep where we need them to be. Sheep are animals that need to come into the yards very frequently to be looked after. Animal welfare is very, very important with us on farms. And if we can't bring the sheep out of the hills or out of the paddocks into the yards to administer what we need to administer to the sheep, we're not going to be able to look after the welfare of these sheep. So therefore, this is where these dogs really excel and do their job right. In Australia, we are producing the best wool and the best meat that there is. As a farmer, these sheep are my livelihood. And we get penalised very, very heavily for any damaged wool or damaged meat. Therefore, it is in my best interest to have dogs that conduct themselves in the right manner with minimal stress on the stock, the dogs and ourselves, but also get our day's works done. It's very, very important. Okay, so I'll ask Dee to keep the sheep off the front gate. You do. Right. Sit. Okay, so can I just get everybody to move off the race, please? Just move back, please. A couple of steps back, thank you. The sheep might just come in and hit that fence. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Sit. Here, Dee, come right. 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 Right, get up. Right up. Dee, quick, get up. Right up, right up, right up. Here, Dee. Here, Dee. Here. Here, bzz. Here, bzz. Bzz, 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 bzz. Here, get up. Quick, right up. Go on, quick. Get up. Right up, right up, right up. Sit, sit. Sit. Here, Dee. Sit. Here, Dee. Here. Bzz, bzz, here's bzz, 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 bzz. Okay. Well done, Dee. Good girl. Okay, so we've got the sheep in the race. We applied a bit of pressure there by using our bark, the command we taught the dog, just to tighten our sheep up a bit. The reason we need the sheep nice and firm is this is where we do our hands-on work with the sheep. This is what we call a drenching race. A drenching race is used to isolate the sheep, to drench sheep. Drenching is putting an oral drench into the mouth of the sheep for internal parasites, for worms. Something that we have to do very frequently with sheep, especially in the wet times, because sheep are very, very prone to worms. Other things we do in the race, we have to vaccinate sheep. All sheep must be ear tagged with an identification number, a property number, before they leave a property, for biosecurity reasons. These are merino sheep. We might go along class the wool. All these things we do in the race while the sheep are nice and firm and we can manhandle each sheep. Another thing we do in the race is mouthing sheep. Now, mouthing sheep is telling the age of a sheep by its teeth. When a lamb is born, it's born with its lamb's teeth. At 1 year old, 2 permanent teeth will pop up. And then a further 2 teeth each year until they get 8 teeth. And that is how we tell the age of a sheep. For anybody that didn't know, sheep actually do not have teeth on their top jaw. They only have 1 row of teeth on their bottom jaw. Okay, so when you saw the dog backing the sheep, going over the top, that's actually not effective to the sheep in any way. All that simply is the quickest way for the dog to get from the back to the front. Now on the farm, this race could be about 5, 6, 7 times the length of what it is here, and hold a couple hundred sheep at a time. We might need to process a few thousand sheep in a day. The reason the dog needs to back is if our front sheep came in and stopped halfway, rather than me having to come from the backyard, come up the front and try and get that sheep to move, this is where the dogs excel. The dog will get up, run over the top of the sheep, come to the front. When the dog gets to the front, it'll drop down. When it drops down, it comes through the sheep. As the dog goes through, back through the sheep move forward. That's how we get that flow-on effect. That is how these dogs load sheep into drench races, into trucks, and into shearing sheds. Need to do this numerous times in a day. Being an Australian bred dog, the Australian Kelpie is a very, very robust dog. It'll work in extreme heat, extreme cold weather, and work all day long. These dogs never say, oh no, it's 40 degrees today, we're not going to work. It doesn't matter to these dogs. They are such robust animals. When we need them to do the work, they're there for us. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We call on them, they do the job. Okay, so now we'll unload the race. Here, Dee, come over here. Here, Dee, here, Dee, come here, here, Dee, here, Dee. Here, D, come up here. Here, D, come up, quick. Come on, come on, come on. Here, D, come. Quick, here, D, come. Come on, here, back. Come on. Here, left. Sit, D, sit. Okay. So as you can see, as soon as she come out the race here, straight on the job. Straight onto the sheep. Thinking they're getting away, I'm going to have to go and get them. Now we'll talk a little bit about the value of these dogs. So, as I said, Dee here is a fully trained dog. She's 60-year-old. It takes 2 years to fully train a dog. A dog peaks when it's 4-year-old. That is when it's the best, absolute best of a good working dog. And you're going to get a good 8 to 10 plus years of good hard work from a good working dog. Now, one good working dog is equivalent to 3 to 4 men in its work. It can do the job of 3 to 4 men in moving stock about. Dee here is valued at around about $30,000. And you might think, wow, that is a lot of money. But I believe it's not, and I'll tell you why. That is because I do not pay Dee any superannuation, any sick pay, any holiday pay. She's never had a day off in her life. When I need her, she's there for me. I could not employ one person to do a third of that dog's work for a year for $30,000. Let alone that dog for a good 8 to 10 plus years. So I believe that these dogs are very, very undervalued, especially for the work that they do. Now at this current time, the world record stands at $49,000 for a fully broken in Australian Kelpie. That is the dearest Kelpie there has ever been. I still believe that that dog is very undervalued. Because if you work out 8 or 10 years of good hard labour from that dog, you work that out on an hourly wage, it's not much money at all. It is a great investment. So, no human can read their stock as well as what these dogs can, and nor can we move as quick as what these dogs can, keep the stock under control. So you can appreciate what these dogs do for us in rural Australia. When we're working with livestock, we don't have a 9 to 5 job. We have to get a job done. Doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's boiling hot, the job has to be done. And that's where these dogs really, really excel, to help us and make our day easy. So the training is very, very important, simply because when I go out to work each day, I don't want to go out there and argue with my dog. I don't want that dog trying to do what it wants to do itself. I want that dog to listen to what I'm asking it to do and do the job for me, which is what these dogs are very, very good at. Okay, so that's a fully trained dog. Now I'll bring in a young pup. So this first pup we're going to bring in is little Mon. Now Mon is a little 5-month-old pup. She's a red and tan Kelpie, Mon. So he's only a baby still. He barely knows her name. Doesn't know anything except for, at this point, we are starting to educate this dog to learn how to sit, so that we can stop the dog. Now this little puppy, believe it or not, started working when she was only 6 weeks old. She was actually 2 weeks younger than them pups that are in there. The very first time we gave her access to sheep, she went to work straight away. I own a sister of hers at home. Her sister started working 2 weeks ago. So there's the actual difference. There's a few months difference there. And as I said earlier, we cannot make these dogs work. That transformation will happen when the dog is ready. And then once that happens, there's no looking back. Now, you would have noticed I've grabbed a garden rake. And anybody that's been watching the Mustard Dog series on the ABC, would have seen people using a garden rake. And what it is simply an extension of our arm. It replicates my hand. That's all it is. An extension. We do not use this to hit the dog. The reason we use this is to block the dog. And the reason we need to block the dog is, as I said, when Mon first started working, she would go around the sheep and around in circles and holding the sheep in one position. And then she'd start chasing them and making them move up and down the arena here. I may as well have been asleep in the ute. And that's what the dog would do all day, is just keep chasing the sheep around. Simply because when she first started, she had no idea where she was taking the sheep to. So therefore, this is where the education comes in. Now obviously, young Mon's been doing this for a while, so she's actually going to go around and balance her sheep to me. But I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight on how we actually educated the dog to come to introduce me to herself as the reference point. Now, anybody that has been giving this pup a pat outside, plenty of attention. You see how loving she is, and she loved the attention. As soon as she came in here, that work instinct kicked in. How strong that instinct is. Now when I let her go, she can easily walk straight out of this arena. There's nothing holding the dog in here. But she will choose not to do that. You will see how strong that instinct is to work livestock. So I've released Mon here, straight on the job, getting around the sheep. Now as I said, this dog's obviously been doing this for a few months now, so I actually don't need the rake. As I just position myself here, she balances, just like Dee was doing there. So when she first started, this is not what she was doing. So what I do is just use the rake and block the dog, and then block the dog, and then we'd come to this side, we block the dog again. If we want to make her go around the circle, we keep going around. Now what's happening here is the rake is actually blocking her from coming back to me, but at the same token, every time I block the dog, she has a quick glimpse of me. She realises I'm attached to that rake. So she starts to realise where my body position is. And that's how these dogs work, is off your body positioning. If you are in the right position, the dog is in the right position. If you are in the wrong position, the dog will be in the wrong position. Now, not only is she watching me, she's learning how to read her sheep. You can see she just moves from one sheep to the other. Using her strengths, she's got a fair bit of presence about her, this dog. She has a nice feel on her sheep. She's not upsetting the sheep in any way, but she's got control of them. Remember, she's only 5 months old. It didn't take very long for me not to need the rake. Dee, sit. You see a bit of backup coming in here. Get off, Dee, get off, Dee, get off, Dee, get off, sit. So, first question we get asked, when we were training a puppy, do we use treats? No, we don't. The reason we do not use treats is any dog will do anything for you for a treat. When you haven't got treats, you're in trouble. Therefore, the way I reward my dogs is from my voice. And that's the way I discipline my dogs, is from my voice. If she does something extremely well, or she's going along nice, good girl. Good girl, Mon. Good girl. Good girl. She does something silly, hey, get out of that. Go on. Changing the tone of my voice is very, very important. Educating that dog right from wrong. Also, I see that as respect from my dog, simply because the dog is doing what I've asked it to do because it wants to do it for me, not because I'm going to bribe it with something. I see that as respect from the dog. Dog respects me, I respect the dog. That's the way I train my dogs. And I believe I have a fairly good handle on my dogs. And again, my dogs respect me. Because these are not only my work animals, my work tools, they are my mates as well. When I'm out working on properties and mustering, it's only me and my dogs. I don't actually see people. Therefore, this is who I talk to, and this is who I got to work with all day. And having that respect and that love from them dogs makes a big, big difference. Okay, so now the next thing we got to do with this pup is teach her to stop. As you see, she's just moving her stock about. Oh, sorry, before we do that, another question we get asked is, do we train the young puppy with an older dog? No, we don't. The reason we don't is that puppy is working sheep. and she's doing a very, very good job. Because they are a pack animal, if we use the older dog, what happens is the puppy will stop concentrating on the sheep and will actually start working the other dog. She will start chasing that dog and watching what that dog's doing. And to me, that is not work. All that's going to do is create bad habits. Whatever bad habits Dee has, Mon's going to pick up very, very quickly. You can see right here, the proof is in the pudding. Mon is more than capable of handling the stock and has been from when she was only 6 weeks old. Anybody that was lucky enough to see this dog at a 6-week-old pup would appreciate how much she has advanced in her work and how good she does her job. So every pup is trained individually because every pup is an individual. If there is 10 pups in a litter, there is never 2 pups the same. They will all achieve the same thing, but they will all work differently. And what we need to do is have a look at how this pup works. And that's what I do for the first 12 months of this dog's life, is reading this dog. I'm learning what it can do and what it's struggling with. I'm learning if the dog is left-sided or right-sided, because all humans are, the dogs are left or right-sided just like humans are, left or right-handed. I'm looking if the dog is weak, if it's strong, if it's going to come in barking, if it's going to come in upsetting its sheep, running through the middle of the sheep. All these sorts of things we're going to look at so that when the dog becomes 12 months old, we then kick in our serious training, and what we're going to do is help the dog with its weaknesses, not its strengths. I'll be able to know what she can do well and what she needs help with. Okay, so we'll put a stop on the dog here. Mon. Mon. Sit. 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 And I'll let her go again. And the reason I'm going to let her go again, if I actually just stop the dog and clip her up and walk out, she will anticipate that what's going to happen is basically we're going to have... Don't do that, sheep. What we're going to have is the dog anticipating that when I say stop to you or sit to you, basically that's going to be the end of my game. I don't get to play with the sheep anymore. So therefore, we want to just stop the dog every now and then the dog does not realise when it's going to be the end of the game. Mon. Mon. Sit. 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 Good girl. Well done. Good girl. And that's a little 5-month-old pup. Okay, now before we bring the little puppy in, I'll just give you a little pointer in training dogs. And what that is simply, training dogs is very, very simple. And what it is simply putting a word to a motion. The dog must do the motion first, then we add the word. And this is where I believe a lot of people go wrong with their training. It doesn't matter if it's a working dog or a companion dog, is they try and do it the other way around. Now what I mean by that is, these dogs never ever know the English language. If we're teaching a puppy to come to us and we sit it down near the fence there, a lot of people would start going, come, 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 come. The dog's sitting there looking at him. What you're teaching your dog is the word come means sit there and look at me. Therefore, what we need to do is get the dog's attention. We might call the dog's name, give it a whistle. Usually when we get the attention from the dog, it will start to move towards you. Once the dog starts to move towards us, that is the only time we'll say the word come. We'll say the word blue, green. It doesn't matter what word you use. As I said, these dogs never know the English language. All they'll comprehend is the word I'm saying to the motion they're doing. And the dogs will pick up on that very, very quickly. You would have noticed when I was working Dee, or this dog, I actually do not use the word stop. That doesn't mean anything to these dogs. The simple word I use is sit. And what sit means to my dogs, it's because the way I train my dogs, is the word sit means become stationary. I don't care if the dog is standing up, I don't care if she's laying down like that, or if she's just got her bum on the ground. The word sit means do not move. And that's how I've trained my dog. Okay, so that's a little Mon showing you the natural ability she has and where she's up to. Now, this will be the real test. Thank you very much. So here we have a little 8-week-old puppy, little boy. He does not have a name yet. He is ready to, or has had access to sheep for the last 2 weeks, just randomly. About 2 weeks ago, we were at a previous show and he actually started to show a little bit of interest, and then he's decided, not yet. So the last couple of times in the past week, he's decided to go back to retirement, which is not what I want to see. But what we're going to do is, in a normal situation, we'd only have 2 or 3 sheep because we want movement, because movement and noises excite dogs. The more movement we can get from the sheep, the more it'll entice the dog to start doing something. Now, under the situation here where we've got the 10 sheep, which will mob up together and won't want to move, it might not help us. But what I'm going to do is put the puppy down and we'll just see what's going to happen. I'll make a little bit of noise, I'll try and get a bit of movement. Hello, we've sprung a leak straight away. Okay, that's not a good start. When you're ready, mate. So just little things like this is actually the beginning. It mightn't look like much, but that pup just starting to run around. Oh, now we're in big trouble. We might need a plumber soon. I think he's rehearsed this part. Okay, he's still watching the sheep, which is a good thing. Okay, let's try again. He might be a bit lighter now, you might be able to run after him. Can't make up your mind, eh? Like I said, just little moves. It's obviously not going to happen right now, but again, just them little moves and having a little bit of a look at the sheep is better than him just walking straight out of here, which is what he could do. So again, it's obviously not going to happen. You're not going to be fortunate enough to see that transformation, but you can appreciate how intelligent these dogs are, and it's only a matter of, it could be hours, it could be days, it could be a few weeks, that this dog will actually start working. And once that happens, we'll have a dog that's working a lot like Mon was and like Dee. Okay, so to conclude the show, we're going to give away the 9-kilo bag of dog food from Enduro. So I hope you've been listening in. And if you've got a dog, put your hand up if you know the answer. Can somebody tell me how old a sheep is that has 4 teeth? Anybody good at maths? Come on, somebody. Do you know? It's not 4, sorry. Yes? 2. Congratulations. How about a round of applause for the winners there, eh? Okay, thank you very much for attending the show. We want to say a great thanks to the Enduro team for keeping our dogs fueled up to be able to perform their day-to-day chores in working livestock. It allows our dogs to work hard and play hard on the Working Dog Plus Enduro. So that concludes our show. I hope it's been educational, enjoyable to you. Anybody wants to pet the pups, inquire about dogs, or simply ask questions, please come and see us. Thank you very much.